In a tragic turn of events, Victor Wembanyama is now out for the rest of the season due to a blood clot issue in his shoulder. After performing so well all year, it's extremely sad that his historic season has come to a close. Hopefully this won't have any long-lasting impacts on his career. With this incredible season, Victor was also far and away the favorite for Defensive Player of the Year. It seemed as though it wasn't even a race anymore and that he was getting it no matter what. Unfortunately, this injury will make it so that he won't qualify for the amount of games necessary to get an award like DPOY. This leaves the award pretty wide open and for the taking. I can think of 3 main guys who I believe deserve an argument for the award, and I think there are more guys who can be argued. Guys like Lou Dort, maybe Shea, maybe Jalen Williams, basically most of the Thunder roster. Maybe you want to go Bam or Giannis, but I think it's a 3-man race, and I think that's summed up by Dyson Daniels, Evan Mobley, and Jaren Jackson Jr. An award like DPOY is a lot harder to determine because the box score can never really tell a full story with defense. If you're using blocks and steals exclusively to decide who should win, then your opinion probably lacks substance. With that being said, I cannot watch every defensive possession of these guys, so maybe I missed things. Let me know who you think should win the award now that Wemby's out. Starting with Dyson Daniels, he's clearly a more unique defender compared to the other guys, being the only perimeter-centric player here. He's extremely quick laterally, and despite his 6'7" stature, he often finds himself guarding the primary ball handler on whatever opposing teams the Hawks are playing. Just watching Dyson, it looks like if you made a player in my league on 2K and gave them every defensive badge you can give someone. He's great at navigating screens. You can see on a play like this, he's behind Alex Sarr and Poole. Most guys in this situation would have to give up and start chasing to catch up to the offense. Thankfully, Dyson was gifted with extremely weird proportions, having a 6'11" wingspan that he was able to use to pick the pocket pass and cause a fast break opportunity for the Hawks. On this next play, the Pistons attempt to run a double drag play, where the idea is Tim Hardaway is supposed to flare out after setting the first screen, and Isaiah Stewart is ideally going to roll to the basket. I imagine the Pistons are using this play to get Dyson off of Cade Cunningham so that he can make something happen. And Trae Young seems to know this, so instead of switching onto Cade, he stays on Tim Hardaway and leaves Dyson to chase. Normally, this would seem like a bad idea, because now Dyson's behind on the play, and Nance is left to defend both the drive and the roll. But in classic Dyson fashion, he uses his length and IQ to wait for Cade to throw the pass to Stewart, where he jumps in the air and disrupts the pass and allows for yet another fast break opportunity for the Hawks. He's extremely efficient in the passing lanes, arguably the best in the league at defending them. There's not much commentary I can even give on this. It just seems like offenses always underestimate how long Dyson Daniels actually is, and he just seems to be ready for anything. He also loves to do this thing where I can only assume is on purpose, where he kind of scoots away from his man to bait the pass and then picks the ball out of the air like a DB. Like Dyson is playing defense by getting further away from the guy he's guarding. It's incredible. He also does it here by bouncing away from Giddey and then bouncing right back to break the play up. All in all, Dyson is just a pest. He makes handling the ball difficult for even the best of dribblers, and when I show you these plays, I don't want you to get the idea that he's exclusively good on the perimeter, because all that length also helps with guarding in the paint. While not as prolific in the paint as the other 2 guys I want to talk about, he sure as hell can hold his own. His agility makes up for a lot of the lack of size he has when it comes to defending the paint. While he's not some insane presence that's going to deter layup attempts altogether, his mobility and quick feet and IQ allow for him to help off his man quickly and make up for any defensive lapses. Look at this play. Coulibaly gets the ball on the perimeter and forces Dyson to run out and defend a shot. Coulibaly chooses to drive after seeing Dyson use all his momentum to run at him, and instead of getting blown by, Dyson somehow, with his, again, very quick feet, managed to catch back up and stay right in front of Bilal, and he uses his defensive IQ to quickly swat the ball away, resulting in a Hawks possession. Overall, Dyson's leading the league in steals by a pretty solid margin, and he is also leading the league in deflections by an even larger margin. Just to help visualize a bit, I use Basketball Index to make a graph. The x-axis on the bottom is deflections per 75 possessions. So if every player's stats were adjusted to specifically 75 possessions just to even the playing field for some teams that play a little faster than others, and then on the left y-axis is steals per 75 possessions. And now every headshot you can see on this graph is an NBA starter. You can see most starters in the league are clumped in the middle section, and the higher right you get, there's guys like Jalen Williams, Herb Jones, and Cason Wallace, all very good defenders. And when you keep inching closer to that top right, you see Dyson Daniels, standing alone at the top of the league. The eye test backs it, and the numbers back it. Dyson Daniels is an elite defender. Unfortunately, a strong interior anchor is inherently more impactful than a strong perimeter defender. As insanely good as Dyson is, a perimeter player can only guard one guy at a time, while an anchor can defend post-ups, drivers, and can offer help easily. Positionally, a center is more valuable defensively than a guy on the arc. Not to mention, a great interior defense can impact the perimeter as well, because now perimeter guys can focus more on guarding said perimeter and can lead drivers to the paint to meet whatever interior force is there. And I believe that segues great into the next guy I want to talk about, Evan Mobley. While Evan Mobley starts games as a power forward, Cavs rotations usually only involve one of Mobley or Allen at a time, leading to both of them usually playing a center role. And like how I described earlier, the Cavs do a great job at feeding defenders to the paint to face Mobley. While the Cavs definitely have some solid perimeter defenders like Isaac Okoro and the newly acquired DeAndre Hunter, this top 10 defense is built on what Jarrett Allen and more importantly, Evan Mobley provide. On a play like this, I think Donovan Mitchell does a great job at leading his man right into Mobley. Nick Smith Jr. managed to get right around Mitchell, and whether it was on purpose or not, you can see Donovan turn his hip and allow him a passage right to the basket. Clearly, the passage was not open enough because Evan Mobley was there waiting. Do you remember when I talked about length and mobility earlier with Dyson? Jackson, Mobley takes that to another level. He's a 7-footer with a 7'4" wingspan, and that size makes it very difficult to get shots up. Usually a 7-footer guarding out on the arc is free eats for anyone with confident dribbling abilities. Sadly for Strother, Mobley is not a usual 7-footer. His right foot is almost touching the 3-point line when Strother starts to drive, but Mobley uses his lateral movement, skill, and length to completely shut off the drive for him. And he does this so often, it's incredible. I'm trying my best to limit my bias as a Cavs fan, but getting to watch this guy every night is such a treat. Evan Mobley is a great help defender, but I don't think that's exactly where he shines. I think he's at his best when he's directly involved in plays, especially in a pick and roll. In a league where the pick and roll is such a commonly run play or something similar to it, being able to defend it properly is huge for a successful defense. It's so hard for the ball handler to attack the rim when they know Mobley is lurking, but it's also very difficult to get passes off successfully to a roller because Mobley's long arms and overall presence is just unmatched. There's a reason that the Cavs are a top 10 defense in the league, with the overall best record, and I think a lot of that can be attributed to the rising star, Evan Mobley. While the Cavs find themselves near the top with the 8th best defense in the league, the current frontrunner for DPOY finds himself on the 7th best defense in the league. Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies is the odds-on favorite to win the award now that Victor's down, and it's very warranted. And I want to get a criticism out of the way first. I've seen a lot of discourse around Jaren Jackson Jr. and how he's a poor rebounder for his size. He's 6'11" and only averages 6 rebounds per game, and yes, that's not a lot, but there's clearly a reason for this. Jaren Jackson Jr. for his size is one of the most switchable bigs in the league, if not the most switchable. This often results in Jaren out on the perimeter guarding, and when you're out of the paint so often, it's hard to collect rebounds at the rate that other guys do. With Evan Mobley, he's often the sole center and paint protector. With Jaren, he's usually standing next to a center who's vacuuming up rebounds, like Zach Edey. It's notable to mention Jaren plays power forward and is usually playing that role, unlike Mobley, who despite starting games as power forward, plays a lot of center. Defensive rebounding is a large part of the game, and it is very important to the Defensive Player of the Year award, and it's important to mention that Evan Mobley is a better defensive rebounder, but Jaren Jackson Jr. does a lot to still give him a very good case to win the award. He's averaging a block and a half per game while also averaging a steal and a half per game. Not numbers that bounce out at you, but they're still very good. And like I mentioned at the beginning, this award is a lot more than just numbers. Jaren Jackson Jr. is a very good fast break / transition defender. When I was compiling clips for this video, it was nuts to me how much of his great defensive possessions were in transition. Like, I watched every block of Jaren Jackson Jr. this season, and I felt like 90% were guarding a fast break. Obviously that's not true, but man, it's insane. While the Grizzlies themselves are not a very good fast break defense team, Jaren is great at it. His timing and recovery are otherworldly, and his mobility allows for his IQ to shine. Because no matter how far away you think you are not far enough from Jaren Jackson Jr. to have a safe transition bucket. I think that what gives Jaren the edge over Mobley is his speed. Mobley is great at moving his hips, but Jaren is just different. He can so easily go from guarding on the perimeter to following a driver into the paint and blocking them with ease. It's no wonder he already has a DPOY award under his belt. He's legit. On a clip like this, he switches onto OG and ends up with his body lying outside of the 3-point line when OG starts to drive. In most cases, this is a basket for the Knicks. But like all great defenders do, Jaren does not lose sight of the ball and attaches himself to OG's hip for the entire drive. And he eventually ends up sending the ball right back to OG. He does this a lot. Watch any Grizzlies game and you'll see Jaren Jackson Jr. guarding on the perimeter, and the moment you blink, he'll end up in the paint blocking a shot. It's nuts. Out of the main 3 for this award, the Grizzlies have the best overall team defense, and you can attribute a lot of that to Jaren. But overall, who should win the Defensive Player of the Year award? If you value perimeter defense and switchability, you'd probably go with Dyson. If you value a strong interior anchor, you'd probably go with Mobley. And if you value a little bit of both of those things, you're probably going to go with Jaren Jackson Jr. I try to approach debates with players on my team that I root for with a completely unbiased opinion, but with that being said, I truly believe that the Defensive Player of the Year award should go to Evan Mobley. His length and mobility are like no other, and it's almost impossible to put up shots when Evan Mobley's standing there. He's not leading the league in blocks or steals or anything, but his presence is enough to deter the best of the best from shooting from the rim. I think Jaren can find himself chasing the block a little too much, which sometimes results in him getting scored on because he was looking to stuff the stat sheet, but don't let that take anything away from JJJ's ability, because he's still elite. And Dyson is also incredible, but I just find interior defense much more valuable than a strong perimeter defender. But again, I'm definitely biased, so I'd love to hear your takes in the comments. Maybe you think it's none of these guys, maybe you're team Jalen Williams. No matter what, I made this channel to talk about basketball, and I want to give you the opportunity to speak your own thoughts, and maybe teach me something I didn't know. If you liked the video, I hope you consider subscribing and liking the video. It's super motivating to see that number rise, and I hope you have a great day. Peace.